Recording in progress. Great. So, hello, Bron.
Hi, Joe.
I'm delighted to see your choice of top, Bron.
I know. We're just like twins, aren't we? It's just gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah, things like color coordination are really, really important. For Zoom conversations. It's just, it's kind of essential, really.
I know. I wish I'd had a more conducive background to yours.
Oh, there you
go. Background. There we go.
There we go. Now, we've actually known each other sort of through. We actually made contact before social media existed. Because I know you've been you are a laughter yoga and a laughter sort of specialist aficionado. You have a shed load of experience behind you, and I don't know if you remember, but I do vividly that you first made contact with me back in about, I think it was 2007, because there'd been a TV series on BBC Two in the UK called Don't Die Young with Professor Alice Roberts.
Yes. I adore Alice Roberts. Isn't she fabulous?
But she is fantastic, and she paid a visit to the Bristol Laughter Club, and it was on and it featured in her series, and and that's how we first communicated.
And that was on TV again here recently.
Oh, was it?
I got all excited. I mean, check it out. And they did the Michael Mosley one as well. Remember, Michael Mosley went to another laughter club.
Yes, he was. Yes, up in Scotland. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yes. They were both on here recently. That was so exciting.
How fantastic! How fantastic! Now, our joy conversation, Bron. Our joy conversation. Now that we're in the zone. As you know, there are the two sort of basic questions, and question number one, Bron. Question number one is,
got my buzzer. Yes.
What is joy to you? What does joy mean to you, Bron?
Oh, now can I answer that in two parts?
Please do. Absolutely.
Two parts. And the reason I want to do that is because when I saw the questions, when you invited me for this interview, and thank you so much for that, Joe. I feel so privileged.
Yes, Bron. Yeah.
But I decided I should do a bit of research. I should see what others had to say about joy. And so I went back to my unit notes from my psychology degree and my work in neuroscience. And I thought, I'm going to go back to the unit notes on emotion and see what academia has to say about joy. And I was a bit surprised because it connects joy and happiness together.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people say they just interchange the words. I feel joyful, I feel happy. It's like they're the same words, but they're not, because while they're the similar concept, they're actually different things.
Yes.
And I found all these quotes and I just went, oh, that is exactly how I see joy, but I also see joy a different way. So I want to do the two things. So when I went back through my notes, I saw that one of my tutors said that happiness is earthy and it's external and it's based in material objects and in experiences, things that make us happy, where joy is ethereal and spiritual. It's an internal feeling of lightness.
Yeah.
It's like a pilot light that burns all the time, and some things fire it up, and then sometimes it comes back down. But if you know how to use joy, then you can always have it. Oh, and I'm going all goosebumpy at the moment just thinking about it. And found in that what they call the felt smile, the Mona Lisa smile. So we always hear about when we do laughter yoga and happiness, it's all about, using the muscles around the eyes.
Yeah.
But the first smile is that really gentle one that just you know about, that little,
Yeah.
It's about inner contentment and a feeling of gratitude and a feeling of connection with everything. And that was in my notes. And then I found this other quote from J.P. Salinger, and it's from Catcher in the Rye. And he said, happiness is a solid, but joy is a liquid. And that just reflected what my tutors had to say, where happiness comes from something outside and you feel it in your heart. But joy comes from inside, and when it fires up, it just flows through your whole system. And I just thought, I really like those. I really like those ideas. So when I thought about, when I looked at what does happiness mean to me, I took it from a completely different angle. What does joy mean to me? I know. What does joy mean to me? And I took it from a completely different angle, because joy to me is vital. I personally have to actively seek joy as often as I can. And it comes from several situations, but there are two that stand out. And if we've got the time, can I just share those with you very quickly?
Please do, Bron. Please do.
So the first one, I'm in my 30s, so it's a little while ago. It's in my 30s. And my dad's 62 years old, and he has a fatal heart attack. He just drops dead in his garden. And I decided that, I'm the daughter. I had two little kids under 3. I had a part-time job that I loved. I had a whole stack of plans for when the kids went to school. I just had this whole life planned out. My dad's passed away, and I said, that's okay. I will step up and help my mother transition into this new life, go from wife to widow. I thought it's going to take a while. The loss of a loved one is really difficult. But if we really work together, I'd seen other people do it. They'd lost family members and they settled into this new life. What I didn't know was, for my mother, there was not going to be any transition. She just crashed into this depression, and nothing, no amount of support or medication or anything could lift her out of it. And the months that I thought I'd be with her turned into years, and I was just in this space, and I just thought my whole life, everything I had planned has just vanished. I just have nothing left. And I was just, I literally was just, I can't even tell you, just so flat. And I took her to this medical appointment, and I'm just sitting, looking at a book, not even reading, looking at a book in the waiting room while she goes to this medical appointment. And this random stranger next to me just points out this sign, and I can't even remember what it was, but it had a spelling error on it that just made it like wrong. And it was in in the hospital. And she said, read that. And I read it, how my brain saw it, which was correct. And he said, no, read it again. And he pointed out, and we're just sitting there like smirking. And I'm just like, and then he just says, what are you here for? And we just get talking, and we just have this conversation for about 20 minutes. And then my mother comes out, and I thank him very much, and I leave. Took my mother home, did all the things that need to do, got in my car to go home. And I just went, what is this feeling? What is this feeling that I'm feeling? It's like this lightness. I just felt this lightness, and I just kept thinking about this conversation with this person. And I just went, I don't understand it. It's confusing. And then I realized I'm feeling joy. I actually had a joyous conversation, and I'd been so long without it. It was just confusing. And I thought, how do I get more of it? And my mother had an appointment 2 days later, and same thing. I'm in the waiting room, and I pull out the book because I don't read. I just stare at the page and not read anything because I'm just in that headspace. And I went, what would happen if I had a random conversation with a stranger? What if I just struck up this conversation? So I struck up this conversation with this person, and we're just sitting there laughing and carrying on. And when my mother came out and I got up to leave, she stood up and she had tears rolling. This stranger had tears rolling down her face. And she said, can I give you a hug? She said, because I just feel I just feel so warm and so connected.
Oh.
She said, I just feel so, it's just so lovely. And I thought, I've got to do more of that. I've got to do more of that. So I continued to look after my mother. She lived 13 years until she, in her own words, joined my father in the great world beyond, as she believed it was. But I found that if I saw the world through the eyes of curiosity and looked for moments of joy during the day, everything was so much easier. I could actually, and you could even see it in my posture. When I talk about joy, you'll see shoulders back, head up, chest open, a posture of safety, because that's what joy does to us. It feeds us and it builds us up, it improves our confidence. And so when you ask what is joy to me, it's vital. We have to have joy. We have to look at the world with curiosity and contentment and gratitude. And even to the point, I'm walking through the park the other day and someone's telling me about her dog that passed away. I know, it's really sad. And I saw an earth star, and I don't know if you've seen an earth star. It's a mushroom that peels open.
Yes.
And it looks like a star.
Yes.
And I said, can we just stop for a moment, because I have to take a picture of this. I'm really sorry. I don't want to take away from your sadness, but I've never actually really seen one of these. And I bent down and she just looked at it and she just went, oh my God, what's that? And she's on her phone, forgot about telling me about her dog, on her phone looking up what this thing could be and discussing it. And as we got working, we just said, oh, that moment of joy was so fabulous. It was
there we go.
So, but my second story, and if you've got a minute, can I share that one? Because that wasn't the second story. The second story, I'm trekking in the Himalayas. So I'm middle of literal nowhere, top of the earth, not on Mount Everest, but in the mountains that form the Himalayan mountain range. I didn't know trekking was a speed sport. So I'm wandering along this track and check out the view and check out that plant and look at this and look at that. And here we are, isn't it fabulous? And there's no air because we're up so high. And suddenly I came to a split in the path. And I looked around and I realised I couldn't see any of the other trekkers. They were doing fastest time of day and were long gone. So I tried to look at the ground, did my best, look for footprints. I'll look for footprints, the ground's a bit, I'll see which way. No, it's a really popular path with the locals. I didn't know which way to go. So I wandered up this path and then I went, oh, that might not be the right way. And then I wandered back and I wandered down the other one and went, oh, no, I don't think that's the right way. So I wandered back. And then it struck me that when you trek, there's a tail person that follows. I'd come off the track in both ways. I didn't know if the tail person had passed me and not actually seen me. So I just sat down in the middle of nowhere. And I knew that where we were in the Himalayas, at nighttime, bears and snow leopards come out. They said the one thing we were told was when it gets dark, come back to camp. You need to be in camp because we surround it and none of the wildlife can get in. And I'm watching the sun go down and I'm just sitting there going, find the joy. Find the joy. Look at that beautiful sunset. I'm just going to stay really close to this tree and hope that bears and snow leopards don't see me if I have to spend the night here. But I have to seek the joy. And so I'm sitting there just looking around, trying to find the joy, trying not to panic. And the tail person comes up and says, oh, it's getting a bit late. We should get to camp. And then when people said, oh my God, were you so worried about being up there? I went, no, because I saw all these fabulous things and I really tried to find my joy to settle myself down. So to me, joy, vital. They're my stories.
Fantastic. Well, of course, that answers the second question as well, you see, because the second question was, how important is it to you? And you said it's vital. It's really because sort of the process that you yourself went through when you first became aware of of the pilot.
I can still feel it when I talk about it. I can still feel it. Yeah.
Yes, I know. How fantastic! It's such a pivotal moment, such an important moment. And I also love the way, my screen's flickering.
It is. You've got lovely blue stripes. I'm really enjoying them.
That. Oh, I'm just going to play with that. That might be a little bit better. Maybe. Oh well. Maybe.
I can see you. Hang on, should we both do the freeze thing?
Yeah. But also that J.D. Salinger quote. Happiness is. Oh, wait a moment. Let me just. That.
You just want to show your shirt off. I know.
That happiness is a solid and joy is a liquid.
Yeah.
The way, and there is this ethereal quality.
Yeah.
To it. And also that it ties in that with openness and curiosity,
yeah.
And it is something we sometimes need to pay attention to.
Yes.
To notice it, and then we experience it more readily. And also from what you're saying, it's potentially all around us all the time. So your Earth Star story, it happened because you happened to notice the Earth Star, but B, the absolute sort of transformative effect it had on the person you were with, who was sort of going through her own troubles, and suddenly something else happened, and off she went, and something opened up for her. Which was triggered by the noticing, by the being curious and taking time to look at this little thing. And I know Earth stars, they are fantastic. They are just so bizarre.
And the most bizarre thing was there was only one.
Well, there you go.
Just one. And I actually thought someone must have dropped it, but there was just one. And I did feel guilty because we were talking about her dog, and I felt guilty that perhaps I wasn't being mindful of her, but I couldn't let the moment go, and I asked her permission to do it, and she went with it. And yeah.
Yes, and your so in a way, your inner joy radar or beacon communicated itself to her, triggered by the Earth Star, and so therefore, in a way, even in moments that can be otherwise quite sort of sad or heavy, where there's a lot of sort of stuff going on, these joy moments can burst up. That's what I've heard in the story you were telling.
And to me, that's why they're vital, because we can go into those things, as I've done with my mother, and what I could have done on the mountain trek, go into those moments that just really bring us down, and then we can't think clearly, we can't make correct decisions. There's a whole lot of things we can't do. But if we can find a moment of joy, we can fire up that pilot light of joy, we can think more clearly and creatively. We can see the bigger picture. Barbara Fredrickson calls it broaden and build. She says that stress narrows and focuses. We need skills for broadening and building, so we can be more creative and think more clearly and see more things and do more things.
How fantastic, Bron. It's been a wonderful conversation. I knew it would be, Bron. I knew it would be.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet.
And there are just sort of so many gems. I love that sort of broaden and build as well. It's like looking sort of up and out rather than down and in. And again, the whole sort of posture that goes with it. Bron, thank you very, very much for taking the time to share your insights, because they're just absolutely sort of fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and one thing I have to tell you, and I don't have it with me, and I meant to have it with me. I carry a little joy stone in my pocket, and I had it with me when I met you in 2015 in Philadelphia. Yes. And you were wearing a great leather jacket. I still remember the jacket. See, it's a stone. And I carry that stone with me. Yes. That's the one. Oh, I remember it so well. And I carry that stone with me. And when there's a moment that brings me awe, and you might know Alan Klein and his latest book on awe. If there's something that just fills me with awe and joy and curiosity, I'll hold the stone and I'll spend a mindful moment to actually think about that, and then pop the stone back in my pocket.
Very nice.
And then sometimes if I'm just waiting in a queue, or I'm, waiting for someone, or doing general life things that are a little bit boring, I'll pull a stone out and just hold it and just think of one of the memories that I embedded in it. And it just fills me with joy.
How what a lovely practical way of accessing this pilot light of joy. That's fantastic. By the way, Bron, Alan, I think I interviewed Alan about sort of 3 interviews ago.
Yes, he said to me.
Now, great. Bron, fantastic. Well, I hope when you reconnect with your joy stone, you will sort of bring this conversation. I hope this conversation ranks as something worth imprinting in your joy stone.
It will. It is, and I will. And the power of the joy stone, I remembered that best.
There we go. Fantastic. Lovely, Bron. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. A hug. Hug, John.
Lovely. Thank you, Bron.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me, Joe. I've missed you.
Thank you, Bron.